Hi friends, and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, welcome, and if you are already subscribed, welcome back. So we are jumping right into this tutorial, and I just speed up these few little clips just to save a little bit of time. And today we will be airbrushing this hydro flask, and I was inspired by this image right here, and also inspired by a video that I saw on Jen's Instagram from Jen's Crafted Gems. And of course, I am also using her alcohol inks in this tutorial along with my airbrush. I do have to apologize for this funky angle. Um, it's the only way that I found that I could show you what I was doing while not being so much in the way. So here I have just sped up a little bit of what I am doing with the airbrush. As you can see, I'm just kind of doing different colors sporadically on the hydro flask. And this is, of course, after I already have about 1 or 2 coats of epoxy just to have those really vibrant colors. And if I did mess up, then I can just wipe it all off with alcohol and I wouldn't have to worry about my glitter being contaminated or anything like that. So I did have, I believe, about 2 coats of epoxy before I went in with my alcohol inks, and I used approximately 40 milliliters for each coat. And if I will hopefully remember to write down all of the colors that I used while I was airbrushing this tumbler. And even though it looks kind of like a hot mess right now, I promise you it will get better. I'm not the best at airbrushing because I am still a beginner, but I did enjoy the process of creating this tumbler. So I do go like back and repeating colors and seeing where I need more of a certain color, overlapping other colors to create blends and just kind of having fun with it. I didn't necessarily think of how or where my colors were gonna go. I did think about it a little, obviously, because um, I'm just that way. I'm kind of a perfectionist. So even though it does look like a hot mess, it's just gonna hopefully get better, or hopefully you guys like how it turned out. Um, I did go in with some darker colors, some blues at the end as well, just to kind of get those, the greens and the blues from the original image that I showed you guys, that I will also be using in this video as a decal. So here I am just kind of going in like with the deeper red, and I didn't really like it, so um, here I am going in with that blue and kind of overlapping it with the pinks and the yellows to create the purples and greens that were also on the image. And I am just going to place them sporadically. And now I am going to go in with some black airbrush paint. This is an opaque paint, so that means it's not gonna show any of my colors from behind or anything. To be honest, I wish I would have epoxied my tumbler before going in with the black paint, but I think I was just a little overly excited to finish the tumbler because I wanted to see how it was going to turn out. Um, and here you see me using a stencil that I created on my Cricut. If you guys would like a tutorial on how I created this stencil for airbrushing, let me know in the comments and I will hopefully make that soon for you guys. It's not very difficult, but I understand some people have some trouble with their Cricut, and as you can see, I am just kind of going in with the airbrush, and it did just kind of create those little leopard spots. I did end up making two stencils. So one is this one with the larger print, and I also made one with a smaller print just because I did want to kind of have like a variation in size. Um, I have never made a leopard spot tumbler, so this is technically my first one. So, um, yeah, I'm just gonna be doing the stencil overlay in certain places, also where I want my colors to kind of show through. So I am just going to just kind of spin my my hydro flask, and as you can see, I do have my top taped off just because I know that I would have probably ended up painting over the top where the lid screws on, and I didn't necessarily want any cleanup, so I just kept the tape on the tumbler for this part. I did go in with the stencils, and then I also kind of just freehanded some spots that I just wanted to be pure black. So as you can see, I did start off with that, and I am just kind of going to cover up those red spots that I didn't really like. So I am just going to do that and kind of see where else I want those leopard spots to go, and kind of just start getting into a flow and a rhythm of like interchanging between the stencils and the black areas that I wanted. Um, I did kind of wish I would have left more of the alcohol ink showing through on the tumbler, um, but at the end of the day, I was happy with how my tumbler turned out. So I can't complain too much. I might retry this design on a different type of tumbler. Um, I did find it kind of hard to epoxy where that really sharp curve is at the top, like where the lid is. So I did just kind of go um, and kind of cover most of the top just because I did have a little bit of lumps, and I wanted to kind of cover those up, and I knew that once I went back in with the epoxy it would cover most of it up and you couldn't necessarily see it as much. So I'm just going to continue to airbrush in random places and just kind of have fun with it, you know? I am someone that just is really hard on themselves when I am creating. So if I don't like something and it's not coming out how I'm thinking, I am really hard on myself. So I am working on that. But other than that, I was really happy with how this tumbler turned out. And I am creating a circle right here because I wanted to place my decal in a certain area. So I did end up putting this, um, just this black, giant black circle on my tumbler so that I would have an area to put my decal. So after this, I am just going to continue with how I want my tumbler and just keep going at it with that black opaque paint. So with the opaque paint, I am not going to be able to see any of the glitter like on the underlying. So that's why we have those areas with the leopard spot and the alcohol inks, because those shine through because they are transparent. So here I am just going in, interchanging the bigger stencil and the smaller stencil that I made, and just putting this down in random spots. And here I am just kind of trying to remember what areas I put on my tumbler, because I did want to kind of extend those leopard spots a little bit so that I could have more of those colors showing. And yeah, so once I finished this, I also went in with some white airbrush paint, and this is kind of where I messed up. So, um, as you can see, I already started going in with the white paint, but I kind of messed it up. So, I did kind of go a little heavy-handed on this white area, and to be honest, I wish I wouldn't have dabbed any of that paint off like I'm doing right here, just because you can see it. Well, you would have been able to see it if I didn't fix it. I did end up cutting out a circle from some white vinyl to cover up that little mistake so that you could barely even tell that I actually made a mistake. Um, I kind of wanted to give it like an effect of just like if I would have spritzed it with some spray paint, but obviously that didn't work. And I didn't have any white spray paint, so this was my solution. So obviously it didn't work out that well, but after I cut out the little circle, I did measure it before I cut out my circle just so that I could make sure that all of the areas were going to be covered and that I could end up cleaning up some of my areas as well. Like I said, I wish I would have epoxied the tumbler before going in with any of the black paint, just because around where that white area that I made is. It's kind of dull because it kind of just sprayed to the sides, but no worries. Here I am just taking my circle that I cut out and placing it on my tumbler. This is after a coat of epoxy so that I wouldn't mess up any further. Um, yeah, so I'm just going to place this down and work out any bubbles that I may have had when I laid down the vinyl, or, like any other things that would show through on my water slide. I did print it out. I did print out my decal out of clear water slide, and like I said in a previous video, I am working on a video on how I seal my water slides and how I apply water slides. Here you can kind of just see a little bit of how I apply the water slides. I am going to cut off all of that excess off of the water slide decal so that I don't have a lot like showing through, because even though it is a clear water slide, sometimes you can see through and notice where those cut lines are. So after I finish cutting this out, I am just going to place it into that little bin of water that I have next to my tumbler. Usually I will kind of use warm water because it is a little bit easier for your water slides to start kind of like detaching, I guess, from the backing of it, and it is going to curl up just like it did here. Here I just use regular cold water from my faucet, like my backyard faucet, because I didn't want to walk all the way inside and just carry a little bucket of water just for one decal. So I just used regular cold water from the faucet. Um, it did take a little bit longer, but it was okay. I just held that decal there, and now I'm just going to make sure that it is removing from the backing. So as you can see there, it is sliding, and you do want to make sure to get your tumbler a little bit wet so that your water slide starts sliding off easier, like the backing. You don't want to handle the water slide as much. As you can see here, I am just kind of going and pulling off that backing while holding the edge of the decal. Um, I usually will have a very light hand with this, so like just barely even touching it, so that afterwards, as you can see here, I go in with my silicone brush and just remove any water bubbles that may have been trapped on the bottom. And after I finish this, I am just going to cover it in another 40 millimeters of epoxy, and this is my whole tumbler. And don't forget to tune in next week. I usually upload videos Wednesdays and Saturdays, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!